The single story creates stereotypes. And the problem with stereotypes is not that they are untrue, but that they are incomplete. They make one story become the only story.
The term stereotype is predominantly defined as a fixed generalized belief about a group of people. It is an oversimplified image that is often wrong and prejudiced. Stereotypes are prominent within different races and ethnic groups, including blacks, whites, and immigrants. The image of immigrants in America is not the best. Many people fear immigrants as they associate them with bringing crime into the country. After many events like 9/11, the stereotypes for immigrants, especially Muslim immigrants, drastically became negative. These stereotypes include that Muslim immigrants are all terrorists and their intention is to harm others. The issue with immigration has gone to the extent that the president issued a travel ban for Muslims, essentially advocating for the negative stereotypes. Personally, I do not agree with the concept of stereotyping a group under any circumstances. Looking at an entire group of people under the same lens is unfair to each individual. In terms of immigrants, the American society unjustly portrays them largely due to the bias of the media. Many people are uneducated on the topic of race relations and are not accepting of other cultures or people of color. Specifically, immigrants are targeted due to them being perceived as foreign and not deserving of equal rights. The image of immigrants in America is negative because of our uneducated society. I interviewed my mom, Aisha Ahmad. She's a Muslim immigrant from Pakistan who shared her view on immigrant stereotypes. Briefly describe the process it took for you to immigrate to the United States. Did you experience any difficulties?
Well, it's 23 years, so life was simple. Immigration process was simple. So for me, it was very smooth, and it doesn't take me a long time to come here. But nowadays, I hear a lot of stories. People have there's a lot of backlog, and it's taking more time than usual, like 6 months to 1 year. Immigration process in America is a very lengthy process. So right now people are really caught in between.
Do you think the immigration process in the United States is unfair to certain races or ethnic groups?
It seems like nowadays it is. Just hearing the news and looking at the travel ban and all the news that come around, it seems like there is.
Do you agree with the travel ban, or do you have any thoughts on it?
Well, travel ban is usually seems like a Muslim ban. It's called like Muslim ban, so that's its biggest problem, and it's very un-American to discriminate of any sort. So yeah, I don't agree with it.
What are your thoughts on the idea that all Muslim immigrants are violent and are here to harm others?
It's a stereotype, and I'm a Muslim, I'm an immigrant, and I know a whole community around me, Muslim immigrant community, and they are very lawful, hardworking people. My husband work in an underserved area of Detroit, helping people there, sick people, giving them health care. So right now we have a business, so we are paying taxes, we are employing people, so we are contributing in the economy. So just considering that all immigrants, Muslim immigrants, usually the Muslim immigrants here are mostly very well educated.
Do you think there are stereotypes towards immigrants? Why or why not?
There's definitely a stereotype. Immigrants coming from Middle East are labeled as terrorists. So these are all stereotypes.
Have you ever been in a situation where you're personally attacked by the negative stereotypes towards immigrants, or do you know anyone who has been personally affected by this?
I'm very lucky. I have not been, but yes, there are stories around us, all around us. We hear them all the time. That's definitely there, and especially after 2016 election, there has been a spike in Dearborn community. We have heard so many incident. Just a few months ago, there was an incident in Beaumont where one of the Muslim women was attacked by a person. So things are things are not so good right now.
Do you think stereotyping will ever go away?
No, it will not go away. I think it's something that media play a great role in making those stereotypes. Stereotype can be good or bad, but I think all kind of stereotypes are bad.
Stereotypes are also present in literature. Specifically, in the poem Let America Be America Again by Langston Hughes, a recurring theme is how America became a nation that we never intended to be. America always strives to be the land of opportunity, equality, and liberty. However, through the stereotypes established by society, this is no longer true.
Let America be America again. Let it be the dream it used to be. Let it be the pioneer on the plain seeking a home where he himself is free. America never was America to me.
In the first stanza, it says, Let America be America again. Let it be the dream it used to be, seeking a home where he himself is free. When using the word let it be, the author is describing how America is not yet fully the country it should be. This is because of racism and stereotyping being prominent in society. Moreover, the line, America never was America to me, is repeated several times. This shows how American society, depending on race, favors some people over another. The line, let my land be a land where opportunity is real and life is free, further emphasizes the fact that America is not equal. Society chooses to stereotype people and discriminate against them for trivial reasons, essentially holding America back from the land it needs to be.
A common stereotype is that all white people can be very self-involved and uneducated about people other than the white race. The specific white stereotype we focused on was the idea that the older generation is racist. The topic of stereotypes is very important in today's society because it is still a very big problem. I think that if everyone respected each other's cultures and ethnicities, racism and stereotypes would not be as prominent of a problem. The stereotype that older people are racist isn't 100% true. Yes, they are more likely to be racist because of what society was like when they were kids, but we should not assume that they are racist, and we should at least have an open mind. I interviewed my grandma, who was 80 years old. Her name is Josephine McConey, and she grew up in Detroit when racism and stereotypes were at its worst in the United States. Can you define racism in your own words?
Racism is prejudice, discrimination, or even antagonism against a group, against persons who are of another race. Even under the belief that their own race is more superior.
Do you think that racism is getting better or worse?
I think it's getting better.
Why?
Well, we've come a long way through all the trials and tribulations we've had among the years. The younger generation, I believe, is paving the way to make sure that that happens.
When you were younger, did you ever come across any experiences of people being racist that you witnessed?
Yes, I did. Actually, it was the year that I got married, and that was in 1959. And we went to Miami for our honeymoon, and so we had to get to the beaches, and we were in the main avenue in Miami, so we took a bus to get to the beach. And so when I got onto the bus, I generally just go right to the back of the bus. That's where I like to sit. So I went, and my husband and I sat at the back of the bus. So the bus driver didn't move. He said, "Ma'am," he says, you have to come to the front of the bus. You can't stay in the back of the bus." I says, "Why? I like to sit in the back of the bus." He says, "Well, only certain people sit in the back of the bus. So get away and come in the front." I said, "No, I'm not. I'm staying in the back." So I looked around and I realized, that's what he's talking about. There were people of color. So I said, "No, I'm staying right where I am, and you keep going." So he did. But then when we got to the beach, another surprise came upon me. And we went to go to the restrooms, and there was drinking fountains out in front. And so there was one for people of color and one for white. I was totally shocked. I didn't even imagine that was taking place yet in this world. And so that was my experience with prejudice and discrimination. I felt their pain.
So you only saw that when you were like in the South?
Yes.
And what stereotypes are you aware of?
Because of how people look on the outside, that's how they are. And that's not true, because people are more, it's more than that. It's not what you look like on the outside, it's who you are as a person. So that's how I feel.
And then what do you think about the stereotype that older people are more racist?
I would say so. Yes, you're right.
You agree with it?
I agree with that. Yeah, they come from an era that's all they were shown.
Mm-hmm.
So,
like when you were in school, like what was taught about it? Like were you taught about
no,
race?
we never were. I have never experienced that in school.
Throughout history, African Americans have been portrayed negatively due to various stereotypes placed on their race. Throughout the use of stereotypes, individuals assume that African Americans are untrustworthy people, and they view them as inferior to other races. Common stereotypes society places on African Americans includes being poor, uneducated, and dangerous. Prejudice placed on individuals causes them to believe that the entire African American community is uneducated and unintelligent. However, these stereotypes have no basis and showcases the African American community in an ill manner. I feel like people need to be more open-minded. On my perspectives of racism, God made us all equal. He never wants us to discriminate against one another, and he wants us to be the same. What has been going on for centuries and is still an issue now needs to stop. People need to be more open-minded because they do not know how racism affects one another when another is affected by it. People have been called many things. They have not been able to do many things, and it has been bad for many. I hope we can all stop this and be more open-minded instead of closed-minded. Black stereotypes are present in the novel Invisible Man by Ralph Ellison. The narrator lives in a fairly racist society which consistently follows stereotypes. The narrator is given the task of showing a white man around the predominantly black college, and while doing so exposes the white man to negative aspects of the college. This angers the president of the college, who tells him he should have lied his way out of the situation. He emphasizes how the narrator is black and living in the South. Even the dumbest black bastard in the cotton patch knows that the only way to please a white man is to tell him a lie. Although lying was an expectation for African Americans, the narrator was completely unaware of this tactic. This showcases how the true nature of a person cannot be defined by a stereotype.
Moreover, a prominent stereotype for the African American community is that they are not well educated. People perceive African Americans as unintelligent and inferior due to their lack of education. However, in the book Four Spirits by Sina Naslund, the African American characters in the novel defy the stereotype by attending the night school. This is a special school for people who dropped out and never finished high school. This school was specifically for black people to get a second chance at education, highlighting how African Americans value education. Likewise, in the novel Between the World and Me, the stereotype of African Americans being uneducated is contradicted. Mabel Jones is a character in the novel who beats the stereotype by becoming a doctor, something that was unheard of for African Americans during this time. In the novel, Dr. Jones is a well-established and respected African American woman who overcame many obstacles in order to gain education in a job she currently holds. She passes down to her son, who is well educated. When her son was selecting schools, he had many options, including Harvard, and if not Harvard, Princeton, and if not Princeton, Yale, and if not Yale, Columbia, and if not Columbia, Stanford. He was that caliber of a student.